Never heard of anyone pulling their own spinal cord out before. Off the record, I'd have to say no. No, all in all, I'd say this was death by natural causes.
Natural causes?
You can't live without a spinal cord, son. Nothing unnatural about that. Think I will have some more pie.
Right away.
Degenerate, disgusting, offensive, repugnant, repulsive. No, I'm not talking about your typical Discord server. I'm talking about Harvester. These descriptors appear in the game's press release leading up to launch. The most brutal, horrific computer game ever created. A violent experiment in terror. The developers expected and were hoping for protests from organizations upon release. They want to capitalize on the media's magnifying glass to game violence, something prominent in the early to mid-90s. By its release in the fall of 1996, they did miss out on that zeitgeist. The game got lost in the shuffle in the landmark year for the industry. It didn't hit their sales expectations and its studio would close shop about a year later. But Harvester lives on. It's built a following over the years. It's a game I've been aware of for years. I've seen various clips out of context. I wasn't quite sure what to expect of Harvester, but my experience, it far exceeded those expectations. Yes, there's plenty of oddball design decisions. Combat and point-and-click titles go together as well as toothpaste and orange juice. The game's puzzles can get into bizarre logic territory full of pixel hunting, but it's one of the best showings of dark humor I've come across in the game. Point-and-click titles are a great place to explore humor in games. And Harvester? One of its best showings. There have been a few games that had me howling in laughter like Harvester did. It's classic 90s satire writing at its finest. It's not afraid to push boundaries. There's things in Harvester that few other games dare tackle. Yes, they made it to be provocative, but it's not a case of all sizzle, no steak. There's plenty of meat in Harvester's bones. It's one of the more memorable games I've played, and you should play it too if you haven't. I'm going to cover the major beats of Harvester, but even then I'm leaving plenty out. Something I'm pretty sure I can't get away with on YouTube. Before beginning, thanks to the fellow Boulder punchers who give extra support to the channel through Patreon, YouTube memberships, and one-time donations. Your support means the world. If you're interested in supporting, check the pinned comment or description. We get an opening flyby of the town of Harvester, Texas. Population 51. The year is 1953. Ah, these mid to late 90s grainy FMVs. So charming and full of soul. Well before best practices emerged. This Ron Livingston lookalike is our protagonist, Steve, 18 years old. Ugh, that's a rough 18. Look at that posture of his. Tex neck before Tex neck was a thing. The actor playing him was a few years older, but he did like them younger. If you know, you know. For those who don't, hold that thought for now. We will get to that. Steve has amnesia. He has no idea where he is. He's not from this time frame. His brother, Hank, will film in as he watches the tube.
That's a weird-looking television. Come to think of it, this whole place looks totally retro.
What do you mean, retro? All TVs look alike.
Sure, basically. But this is one old-fashioned clunker.
Old-fashioned? It's brand new.
Yeah, but look at the tube. Where's the remote control?
What's that?
Now that I think about it, I can't remember.
And what was that you said about retro rockets?
No, retro. It means... Oh man, I know what I mean. That everything here is wrong. But I can't picture the difference.
Then shut up and quit bugging me. I'm watching my terrible show.
We'll find Mom in the kitchen, who could give us insight into what's going on. Like his upcoming wedding.
And just who is Stephanie?
Don't you dare toy with that sweet girl. If you start in on her with all this amnesia poop, she'll think her fiancé is having second thoughts about the wedding.
Look, all this talk about weddings is nuts. I'm not marrying anybody till I figure out what's going on here.
First the heartbreak of psoriasis, and now this. 2 weeks before the wedding and you're backing out. Whatever will the neighbors think?
I can't marry someone I don't even know.
Fine, have it your way, but leave me out of it. If you're going to break Stephanie's heart, you march right next door and do it yourself. And don't expect me to write you a note.
Fiancé? This is insane!
Oh, you're not having second thoughts about marrying Stephanie. Is that what this silliness is all about? Pre-wedding jitters?
Can something like that produce amnesia?
Stop this foolishness right now and count your blessings. Stephanie is great at cooking and cleaning.
She'll also tell us about this upcoming bake sale, a blood drive, and the lodge. Lots to take in here.
What charity is this bake sale supposed to benefit?
It'll help provide a fund for bums and hobos who wander into Harvest and have no family ties.
Kind of a specific target group, isn't it?
You have to pay attention to detail when dealing with such people.
I don't know what you mean.
You will. The whole thing has been organized by the lodge.
Tell me more about this bake sale. Why is it so important?
As I told you, many unfortunates who come to Harvest end up needing financial help.
Why is that the town's problem?
It's not a problem, so long as those folks are taken care of. It's the will of the lodge.
What lodge?
The Hall of the Order of the Harvest Moon, Steve. It's just the finest place in Harvest, and the most exclusive.
What's so great about it?
Hard to say, since hardly anyone gets inside, but it wouldn't be so exclusive if it wasn't just wonderful.
The dialogue system reminds me of games like the old Fallout titles. You will have prompts that pop up, but you could also type in prompts. Some will start a conversation, others won't. Some can disappear after appearing earlier. I did have pen and paper on hand to not forget them. There's common prompts for citizens around town, like our amnesia or the lodge. There's hidden ones tucked away. Plenty of optional dialogue also tucked away. It's well worth listening to. The writing is full of wit and nails that 1950s Americana feel. Digging in will give you hints on what to do next or how to solve puzzles, although some will get into annoying point-and-click territory with its logic. But before that, let's go explore town some more. At the moment, our dad is sick in bed, the door locked. As we're set to marry Stephanie Potsdam in a couple weeks, let's go see her, the girl next door in a literal sense. She's locked up for the time being, but we can't convince our future in-laws to see her. They can't wait for the wedding. But her dad seems more excited about becoming part of the family business of Steve. Steve's dad owns the local meat plant.
Meat is the foundation of any decent society. Everyone needs at least 3 servings of red meat a day. And anyone who says otherwise is a commie. And once you're married to Stephanie, I'll be part of the family too. And your father will give me all the meat I want. Kind of makes up for not getting into the lodge.
As Mr. Potsdam isn't a member of the lodge, we won't be getting married there. Instead, we have it at a different location, one more morbid.
Tell me about this wedding.
Well, it looks like we're going to have to hold the wedding down at the funeral parlor, since I'm not a member of the lodge. Mr. Moynihan has given his okay, and your father is going to cater the affair with plenty of meat.
Stephanie's mom bears a strong resemblance to Steve's mother.
You mustn't be too hard on Mr. Potsdam, Steve. He's a disappointed man. No matter how many lodge admission forms he fills out, they keep turning him down. He has a new application in, though, so keep your fingers crossed. If he joins the lodge, you and Stephanie can have your wedding in the Chapel of Love rather than over at Moynihan's place.
They may be a bit odd, but they do hate communists. So far, so good, right? Well, things will take a darker turn, but let's go say hello to Stephanie. Stephanie is the same boat as Steve, memory-wise.
So, you're the one. Steve, isn't it?
You mean you don't know me?
I mean, I don't know anyone. I don't remember anything. How many times do I have to say it?
Just one, Stephanie, because I can't remember a damn thing either.
Really? Oh God, I thought it was just me.
You're not alone. Can you tell me what's going on here?
Those people downstairs have locked me in my room. They say I'm grounded until the wedding. Maybe my amnesia isn't total after all. You're familiar to me. Like we've met before. In another life.
This bit did take me for a surprise. A welcome one. Going the amnesia route can be quite a cliche story approach, but to have someone else in the same boat, there's a grounding element to it. Two strangers in a strange land. Two strangers set to marry in a couple of weeks. Unlike Steve, she's locked up at home. We could always return to talk to her. Let's continue around town and see what the other citizens have in store for us. Like the wasp woman, Tetsuya Crumb, someone our mother mentioned in conversation. She has quite the view on wasps.
Yes, a great deal of pleasure. The wasp is a sensual being, not a laborer, hedonistic instead of industrial. Some think them quick to anger. In truth, they are easily swayed to ecstasy. They penetrate your flesh, and the muscular contractions in their thorax as they pump venom could be likened to the muscular contractions of ejaculation. Each painful welt, an act of love. Regard the wasp. Wasps produce nothing for others, but only for themselves. Wasps build nests and more wasps, nothing more. They spread into eaves and attics, not to make honey for supermarkets, but to buzz and rustle on their own paper, perpetuating their own agenda, growing stealthily, surely, the most relentless of insects.
She has no bearing on the critical path. They had more planned for her. Cut content included being able to burn down her house. As mentioned earlier, this town seems to have the right idea in how they view communists, best exemplified through Colonel Buster Munro. In a game full of wicked, dark humor, these conversations with Buster are the funniest. Adding to the hilarity are the nuclear missiles in the background, one with lax safety procedures.
Those pennywaists in Washington wanted to stick me behind a desk. To hell with that. They owed me. I left my legs in Dusseldorf. They owed me. Of course, they felt that after the trauma of having to crawl from Germany to England trailing my intestines behind me, I was too emotionally unstable to continue in the military. That's why they gave me this nice cushy job and put me in charge of the nuclear missiles.
Of course, they wouldn't have given you the, button if you were really, say, emotionally unstable?
Of course not. I was given a full exam by my captors in the concentration camp when I was captured during my second penetration behind enemy lines, a year after I lost my lower torso. It was quite thorough.
What did it say?
I don't know. I can't read German. Okay, yeah, you can't get shot in two equal but separate portions without feeling a little down. Who wouldn't? That doesn't mean I'm unbalanced. A little lighter, maybe, but my balance is fine. Still, is it abnormal to harbor doubts late at night when your boots in the corner mock you? Is it sick to want to poke them in their eyelets and rip out their laughing tongues? Then you feel bad, and you invite them under the covers with you, but will they come? Oh no! Spit and polish, tromp, a long, long way to Tipperary, especially when you're waddling on your hands.
If the conversation goes down the wrong path or you get too close to Buster, let the missiles fly. This may very well be the greatest game over I've seen in any game. From a humor standpoint, I can't think of another that had me howling with laughter like this one.
You should have watched more TV and read less Dostoevsky if you wanted to pass for an American, comrade.
Buster has suspicions about the firemen being commies, so let's see what they're up to. Quite the flamboyant crew. They love their hoses.
Don't be silly. Everyone thinks that amnesia kick is a scream. Well, you always were a kidder, Steve. Besides, it's my job to keep abreast of developments in the community, to better serve you, the public. I'm sure you'll be thrilled when you learn of the many civic improvements we have planned for your fire department.
Such as...
Well, don't tell any of the others, but I've secured a bolt of the most divine mauve material. I've hidden it because, well, if any of these Marys got a hold of it, it'd be gone in a jiffy. So I'd rather keep it hush-hush. I'm going to make new drapes for the firehouse, and if I have any left, cross your fingers, I'm going to make everyone matching mauve pillow cozies.
Those are civic improvements.
Don't be such a party pooper, Steve. We're talking about art.
The firemen brought up the burning down of the office for the town's paper, despite there being fire hydrants right outside, and the fire station around the corner. They recommend we talk to the town sheriff if we want more, so let's go have a chat with them. The eccentric characters continue at the station, the sheriff having one of the funnier names I've come across.
Hello, Steve. Let me introduce myself. I'm Sheriff Dwayne, and this here's Loomis.
Pleasure, I reckon.
Then, we haven't met before?
Of course we have, but I heard about your alleged amnesia and figured I'd play along. I sure hope this is just a prank, and not the start of some insanity plea. Keep your nose clean, or you'll wind up in jail, and that's no place to hold a wedding. Crime-wise, nothing much has happened in Harvest since the newspaper fire. Oh, sure. Every week or so, we get the odd transient dropping dead. But other than that, it gets pretty slow around here.
Also at the station is Deputy Loomis. He's quite the horn dog, by his own words.
Why, you sure ought to appreciate what a man's got to do sometimes in a parked car, or a waist-high knothole in a tree, or jail cell at noon. Matter of fact, Mrs. Phelps got no reason not to sell you some of them French postcard girly picture books. If you can get any, you see clear to part with them. Bring them round when the sheriff's at lunch, and I'd be obliged.
Our actions in town can have consequences, ones that lead to a game over. Like murdering others, which you can do to more or less anyone. And I mean anyone. No one's off limits, even the children. Although you can kill the wasp woman and not pay the price, but anyone else, it's a trip to the electric chair.
What were you thinking, attacking someone like that, with so many witnesses around? You'll have plenty of time to think about it, boy.
Somebody help me!
What do you people want from me?
Too late for that, boy. Ain't it, Sergeant?
Indeed it is, Sheriff. Answers may only be found in the lodge, and you must be alive to seek them.
So funny thing happened here, the first person I killed was Steve's mom, so it was funny to see her present at the execution, but this was before seeing her as Stephanie's mom, and as we'll see later, she makes several appearances. Thought this was an oversight at first, but that's not the case. We can have lesser arrests, like being sloppy when breaking into places. 3 strikes and you're out before an execution. The hilarity continues here if you're set free.
This is your first arrest, Steve. You just remember, we've got a...
Sheriff Dwayne loves to frequent Edna's diner, owned by Edna. She's there with her young daughter, Karen.
The harvest moon wanes and then comes winter. An empty belly, the body sun's belly, gurgling within or bloody on the ground. What does it benefit a man if he gains his soul and loses the world? You hunger. Feed yourself before it's too late. Oh.
Edna?
Steve. What happened? Were we talking about Boyle? Or was it Karen?
If you're a fan of David Lynch's work, I'm sure you've been picking up on the vibes. The Twin Peaks small town feel, the eccentric cast of characters. I draw comparisons between the Wasp Woman and the Log Lady. Using a 1950s Americana backdrop does also evoke Blue Velvet. The game's core designer and writer, Gilbert Austin, was a huge fan of David. There was an article from a gaming magazine at the time calling him the David Lynch of video games, which didn't quite pan out, unfortunately. More on that later. For more direct Twin Peaks influence, in the 1994 game trailer, Stephanie has a different look. Well, the whole game did, which we'll get to later, but they based that appearance off of Shelley from Twin Peaks. In conversation, Edna brought up Mr. Johnson, someone who has quite the obsession with her, which we can hear firsthand if we stop by his place for a chat.
Edna Fitzpatrick is one of the snootiest women in town. I declare there isn't a woman in Harvest that turned me away. If I was interested, that is. Just because she owns DNAs, she's got all these highfalutin ideas about independence, and her with a little girl to raise. That child needs a father. And Edna, well, she needs a good, hard penis.
What makes you so sure she needs a penis?
You saying Edna's getting it from someone else? Like maybe that damn Sheriff Dwayne? He's over at DNA's diner every day from noon to 1, eating his dadgum pie. And I got a feeling he'd like Edna for dessert. Sure, it's the only diner in town, but I'm sure he's got more on his mind than food.
As Mr. Potsdam brought up, the town mortician, Daniel Moynihan, will officiate our wedding. He wears many hats, and I don't only mean his top hat here. He's the town mortician and proprietor of the Wayward Hotel. There's much to learn from Daniel. He fills us in more on the lodge, the bake sale, and the homeless and harvester.
As always, the Order of the Harvest Moon has taken the lead in addressing our societal ills. Through their sponsorship of the blood drive and the bake sale, the lodge ensures that all our needs are met.
Needs? Such as?
Pardon me, there are corpses to prepare, and my losses have been substantial of late. If you're sincerely interested in the Order, however, you should stop by the lodge and speak with the Sergeant-at-Arms.
Why should I be interested, Mr. Moynihan?
Of all the spots in Harvest, the lodge is the most prominent, literally and figuratively. It is the ambition of everyone here to join, and join you must to attain wisdom.
What kind of wisdom?
If I knew, I'd be a member. I have the feeling you have what it takes to join the Order, Stephen. We all believe that. Whether or not you live up to your potential is up to you.
There's a common phrase that comes up over and over again when we talk to others in Harvester.
Well, you always were a kidder, Steve.
Well, you've always been a kidder, Steve.
Well, you always were a kidder, Steve.
Well, you always were such a kidder, Steve.
Funny how that's beginning to sound like a stock answer. Like it was coached.
I also want to note the differences for acting. They had different voice actors than the physical actors. You could see the dubbing and cutscenes with dialogue. There's a reason I'm mentioning this now, why I'm noting the distinction between the physical actors and their voice actors. The "you always were a kidder, Steve" line is prophetic with the future actions of Steve's physical actor. He found himself on the wrong side of the law in 2010. I'm sure those aware of this fact before were wondering when I was going to bring this fact up. It's the game's equivalent of Viggo Mortensen breaking his toe kicking that helmet in the Two Towers. You have to bring it up each time. Note that he's also wearing a very similar shirt to the one he wears in game. We can stop by the school that Steve graduated from not long ago. We can chat with Principal Harrow and Miss Whaley. They have quite the approach to discipline and punishment.
We don't practice corporal punishment here. I've never believed in that old adage, spare the rod and spoil the child. A rod is too thin, but a baseball bat? That bridges the generation gap quite nicely. Oh dear, Colonel Moreau is conducting another air raid drill. Everyone into the hallway, quick!
If an A-bomb hits, what good is it gonna do to duck and cover?
There are a few more spots in town, a few more citizens to talk to, but I will in due time when we come across them. To summarize where we're at so far, Steve is due to marry Stephanie in 2 weeks' time. Steve's dad, the owner of the meat plant, has a job lined up for him. There's an upcoming bake sale. There's an upcoming blood drive. To be exempt from the upcoming blood drive, we need to join the lodge, which we're not a member of, but we're told over and over again to join. So our next stop is the lodge. You can't miss it with its sheer size. It sits in the dead center of town. Before we visit the lodge, a couple of things I want to bring up. Harvester does a fantastic job of bringing this small town to life. I haven't seen many games reach this level. Many towns and games can feel like a space full of NPCs. They don't feel like a real place. But not Harvester, especially if you delve into the dialogue. How the characters react to one another, their friendships, their animosities, the town gossip. There's many moving parts. Add in the razor-sharp writing and humor, and you got yourself a memorable town. What also helps is how the game reacts to your actions. Characters will react to things we do along the critical path as we progress. For example, using a camera, we could catch Principal Harrow and Miss Whaley in the school broom closet. We can show this picture to others in town. Go talk to Miss Whaley or Principal Harrow later, and they'll bring this fact up. It makes the world feel more alive, less static.
You've been showing that picture you took of us around town, smearing ours. I'll have my revenge, Steve.
Made me think of Deus Ex, where characters would bring things up that you did. Even if it's a line or two of dialogue, it makes a world of difference. That said, it can lead to some jarring shifts in how a character talks. Ones that don't flow well with one another. So far, so good with Harvester. Now let's dive into the meat. I'm not only talking about the meat plant. Let's see what's in store for puzzles on the critical path beyond dialogue. Guarding the way into the lodge is the Sergeant of Arms. He has a unique way of speaking to us, through telepathy. It's more notable in cutscenes, like during an execution game over, or during a multi-minute monologue at the game's end. There's plenty of humor watching his actors' facial expressions.
Indeed it is, Sheriff. Answers may only be found in the lodge, and you must be alive to seek them.
Fun fact, this is also the same voice actor for Steve. Of course, that voice of his reminds me of Dr. Claw from Inspector Gadget.
Next time, Gadget, I promise I'll get you next time.
But for those with exquisite taste, I'm sure you're thinking the Shockmaster, which I would show here, but WWE are copyright hawks. If you've never seen the Shockmaster, I'm envious. Pause the video and go watch it. 2.5 minutes of comedy hilarity. It's like the unintentional comedy equivalent of a Renaissance painting. Each time I watch it, I notice something new each time. But I digress here. We have our goal. get an application to join the lodge, but Postmaster Boyle isn't budging when it comes to giving us one, so we need to take matters into our own hands. In our conversation with Loomis, he brings up his hankering for a dirty magazine, which we could buy from the town store owned by Mrs. Phelps. She bears a strong resemblance to Judi Dench.
A girly magazine? Why, Steve, I'm surprised at you. I'd expect that sort of thing from Deputy Loomis, but never from you. He's always coming in here oogling the girly magazines behind my counter. Darned if I'd sell him one, though. I know his wife, for heaven's sakes.
Well, will you sell me one?
I certainly will, Steve. That kind of interest is healthy for a young fellow. Stares him away from being a fireman.
Giving this to Loomis gives us free reign of the station, the desk drawers, and the evidence room. We discover that Postmaster Boyle burned down the office of the town paper. The sheriff is blackmailing him to keep quiet about his crimes. Sheriff Dwayne returns to the station, in which hilarity ensues.
Hello, Steve. Where's Loomis?
You'll be coming around the mountain if you come. That's it.
Loomis, damn you.
Wait, no.
No.
Straining up the mattress again. Folding up the towels. Charming snake.
There's something so inspired here of the game cutting away with Dwayne hitting Loomis with a magazine, showing it through a shadow. For a game full of violence and disturbing imagery, cutting away here is comedy gold. There's few games out there that do comedy as well as Harvester. On the note of the dirty magazines, one possible arrest is showing it to Karen and his daughter at the diner. I'm sure the descendants of Steve would go on to become Discord moderators exhibiting similar behavior.
What's that, Mommy?
How dare you? You're a nice boy, Steve, but you need to be taught a lesson.
Speaking of blackmail, it's a way we could get a lodge application from Postmaster Boyle. If you go to the remains of the town newspaper, we can find a postmaster badge buried. Use it against Boyle. In exchange for bringing him the gas can from the evidence room, he'll give us an application. This isn't the only option. You can make a photocopy of the sheriff's checkbook and Boyle's notes. Use that as blackmail instead of the postmaster badge. Multiple solutions. Not something that you see every day in point-and-click games. That said, it's a rarity here. Most later cases with multiple solutions simply involve more violence. But nice to see in a point-and-click game. What's not so nice to see is a point-and-click staple, pixel hunting. Most notable example is the screwdriver we'll need later on, tucked in the back left corner of Edna's diner. Don't think I would have found it without a guide. Nothing that makes it stand out. Another point-and-click staple is the reaction to wrong items. How does Steve react to using the wrong item or combining wrong items? Decent, although I've heard better in point-and-clicks.
Well, that didn't work. Okay. Oh, man.
This closes off day 1. The Sergeant-at-Arms at the lodge tells us to get some rest and return the next day. Again, good lord, that's a rough 18. Get some exercise, Steve, and work on that posture while you're at it. On to day 2. The Sergeant-at-Arms gives us our task for the day. We'll need to do a series of them over the coming days, starting small but ramping up in his requests.
There is in Harvest a man named Mr. Johnson. He owns a tucker. It is his pride and joy. I should like you to put a scratch in it.
A scratch? That's all?
As I said, a minor prank. Mind you, you are not to damage the vehicle. Merely put a single scratch in it. Once you have done so, return here, and I shall give you your next task.
We can go back and talk to others for more information. For the most part, it will be a new line or two of things we did the prior day, but Stephanie, our amnesiac-ridden fiancée, gives us more for us to discuss throughout. A cautious voice warning us about the lodge. But we have to get to the bottom of this, so we'll play ball with them.
I visited the lodge, talked to the sergeant-at-arms there. He knows that there's something out of whack here. He told me if I wanted to find out what it is, I should join the lodge. I've decided to join the lodge, Stephanie. I think the answer to all our questions is inside.
That place. It's so sinister. You may be playing right into their hands. Did you think of that? Doesn't it seem like you're being herded toward the lodge?
That's one of the things I hope to find out.
I hope finding out doesn't get you killed.
For scratching Mr. Johnson's car, we'll need to wait for nightfall. Completing certain tasks for the critical path will shift the town to nighttime. To get into Mr. Johnson's garage, we'll need to access it through the sewer. There's a manhole key near the post office. To free it, we'll need some lubricant. One tucked away in the mortuary and another case of pixel hunting. On the music of Harvester, it's all great stuff. I love this sneaking theme. Very fitting for these kind of moments. That's all we need to do for day 2. Day 3 is where things begin to pick up. The next task for the lodge, quite mundane.
Now that you've scratched the tucker, you may proceed to your second task. You will steal a bolt of fabric from the fireman and bring it to me.
But it's what's going on in town that's notable. Karen, the daughter of Edna, owner of the diner, is missing. Talking to her brother Hank, he has quite the unsettling story involving her.
I heard that someone took Karen, Little Miss Perfect, and get famous. Gonna get a picture on a milk carton. Yeah, well, I heard that Karen was gone, so I went over to Miss Fitzgerald's house and asked if I could play with Karen. Her mom just stood there, you know, in the doorway, and cried and cried. And I just stood there, wondering how long it would take for her to stop. But she didn't. So I went inside and watched TV, 'cause they've got color, 'cause Edna has money, 'cause she runs the diner and all. And I sensed she was feeling vulnerable, so I asked her to fix me a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. And she did. Then I went into Karen's bedroom and looked around for stuff I could take, while Edna was in the bathroom with the water running. But all that there was girl stuff. So I came home. But it was fun while it lasted.
We can get some hints and clues of what's happening by talking to others around town.
Karen Fitzpatrick has strayed from the corral, kids. So if any of you buckaroos have seen her lately, give the sheriff a call and tell him what you know. Anyone who comes up with information gets an invite to Range Riders Kitty Corral. So keep those eyes peeled, cowpokes. Don't go away, there's more to come.
That said, Edna herself is quite nonchalant, all things considered. I know she runs the diner, but still, Edna, your daughter's missing? Shouldn't you be out searching for her frantically? Did you have something to do with this?
I can't stop and chat, Steve. With Karen gone, if I stop, I think I'll lose my mind. I've got to keep busy. Excuse me.
Talking with the town, we can learn Karen was last seen at the town cemetery. Mr. Potsdam, Stephanie's dad, was also seen. And Harvester, boy, does it take a dark turn here. In a game full of it, this moment stands out. As mentioned earlier, there was little off limits.
Thank God I found you. Are you all right, Karen?
I want to go home. Could you take me to my mommy's store? Or to the policeman?
Can you tell me who did this to you?
Mr. Potsdam told me he'd hurt my mommy if I told.
He won't do anything, I promise. Tell me what happened.
He made me play house. Then he dug a hole. Please, I just want to go home now. Please.
But this incident, more or less swept under the rug. Confronting Mr. Potsdam about it doesn't lead to anything happening to them.
Yeah, I know what that crazy little bitch said, but it's not true. I was at home that night. Mrs. Potsdam will vouch for me. Isn't that right, Mrs. Potsdam?
That's right, Mr. Potsdam. Hello, Steve. Care to stay for some pot roast?
Forget the pot roast, Mother. Pot roast isn't for backstabbers, for persecutors. I won't share my meat with him. My meat! My meat!
Well, let's turn your head into meat here, Mr. Potsdam. With that aside, we still have a task to fulfill for the lodge. Steal a piece of fabric from the fire station. But we're going to need to distract the dog first. A source of meat will do the trick, but Pat at the plant won't give any up. We need to get a signature from our dad, locked up at home in the bedroom sick. We'll need to break in through the window, and once again, Harvester continues to surprise with what we find inside. I'm going to cover some of this up as YouTube won't think kindly of it.
I know it's a mystery to you. The sacred things that husbands and wives do behind closed doors. Maybe we should have that special father-son talk. Especially now that you're getting married. But you need to be forewarned. You need to know what to look out for. The hobby horse and the jello.
What happens if we come through the bedroom window at nighttime? Steve's mother doesn't take the intrusion well. With the signature and meat, we can distract the dog at the fire station, although we're not alone.
Jeez, what are you doing here?
Just standing here, waiting to be drawn.
You just hang out here? All the time?
I'm not a person, Steve. I'm an object. You'd do well to remember that. A person is his job. Someday you'll understand that. And if you don't, it won't matter, because you'll be dead.
Day 4 has us making a trip to the barbershop and steal the barbershop pole. There's 3 characters at Pastorelli's barbershop. Mr. Pastorelli, the owner, can't speak English and never says a word to us. And with how the day plays out, he won't get a chance to. There's a couple of friends here playing checkers. Stark difference in size. Pete Swell and Clem Parson. Pete does his best to get Steve to invest into aluminum siding.
Steve, aluminum siding can't get a fair shake no more. Started when those firemen came to harvest, filling people's heads with newfangled notions like color coordination and interior design. You can paint aluminum, you know, if you want to. But even so, I can't seem to move it anymore. Not even to a rube like Pastorelli. Thank God for the plumbing.
Clem here, he's a believer in the extraterrestrial, claiming to have seen them.
Well, son, the ways of the alien is a specialized area of woodcraft unknown to all but the wiliest sportsmen. What you gotta remember is, your average alien is smarter than your average human, so you gotta be extra careful building your blind if you want to bag one.
You hunt aliens?
Son, after nailing an alien, you can never go back to quail. What, you think you can get one of those at a swap meet? Line your blind with lead to fool their sensing machines. Lay real quiet and wait. Preferably in the woods around the nuclear base. Oh, they love messing around out there.
This can be a very short day. Throw some tape on the window first before breaking it. A handy trick to help clean up glass, in case you ever need to do so in real life. For non-criminal purposes, of course. And make sure to turn off the lights for the pole before trying to take it, else it's a trip to jail. On to day 5. Turns out we did some sloppy work in stealing that barber pole. Mr. Pastorelli is dead.
The next morning, Pastorelli touched some live wires that the thief left lying around and was electrocuted. Well, that darn foreigner got what he deserved, if you ask me. Coming into a nice little town like Harvest and stealing business. Heavens, if a bowl and scissors were good enough for your father, I don't see why decent working folk need a fancy wop styling their hair. That's how it goes. First you get a sissy trim, then bang, you're a communist.
Going to the barber, there's Pete and Clem, still playing checkers without a care in the world. A shrug of the shoulders to what happened as they go about their game.
I was the one what found Pastorelli this morning after he stepped in the water with the live wires hanging out. His body was so burnt his arms and legs was blackened, fused together, and the sheep was well done too. Problem is, both was burnt so bad, and the flesh all crisp and distorted, limbs melded. You couldn't tell them apart. And well, I didn't want to take a chance on eating Italian. No, sir, I didn't.
Let's pop by for a visit with Stephanie. She feels close to us in more ways than one. Must be that posture of Steve that's got her going.
Maybe it's different than memory. Maybe we don't remember each other so much as we recall the feelings deep inside. Strong feelings.
Maybe the body has its own memory.
Let's find out.
I want you. Make love to me.
Then take me, now.
They did want to go further here, like having full nudity, but in a game where Lila was off limits, this was one line uncrossed. They also wanted to have Stephanie's mom watching, not her dad, but that was another line the higher-ups didn't want to cross. Our task from the lodge for the day is to burn down Edna's diner. This day is also the day of the bake sale, taking place at the school. All those cookies mom made, many now stale. And would you look at that? They all look and sound alike, as if they're the same person as Steve's mom.
Derelicts and bums who wander into town who don't have enough money for a decent burial.
They deserve to be buried. It's the Christian thing to do.
That's awful nice of you. But why do so many derelicts and bums die in Harvest?
Don't be such a wise apple, Steve.
During the bake sale, the TV station goes up in flames. Postmaster Boyle doing some sloppy work here as we see him fleeing the scene. Let's see if we could do a better job with Edna's diner. Although we have some point-and-click logic to deal with first. We need to cover up her smoke alarm. Use glue on a cake cover we found in our travels to cover it up. Start the fryer, toss in the match, and flee. Day 6. Poor Hank. Nothing to watch on TV now with the TV station burned down.
Why are you sitting in front of that blank TV?
Someone burnt down the TV channel. There's nothing on. Nothing on.
Honestly, Hank, you're acting like an alcoholic. I told you all that TV would hurt you.
Watching TV don't hurt me, Mom. But not watching TV hurts bad.
When we talk to Stephanie, we can lie about her actions or tell her the truth. It's here where I learned about the impact of Edna's diner burning down.
Why are you looking at me like that?
Did you torch it, Steve? Jesus. Edna hung herself. And her daughter, too.
So let's go see the aftermath at the diner. Once again, Harvester isn't afraid to go dark at points, ones that few other games go. That said, there's still that wicked sense of humor here with the sheriff present.
I've tried so hard to find an excuse to keep on fighting, but Karen and I can't go out alone any longer. This diner he left us was all we had. It was always a struggle to keep it running in such a small town. And now we've lost it. I know that I can't afford to support us now. There's only one way out. I'm sure you won't be able to understand, the depth of despair that would enable a mother to put a rope around her baby's neck and push her into the air and jump after her. I wonder if I'll hear her next now. If she kicks around and takes a long time to strangle me, I'll scream. But I won't cut her down. I've got to be stronger than I ever was before. But I hope she doesn't kick. God help us and forgive us, Edna Fitzpatrick.
With all our work, we're now a candidate to join the lodge. All we need to do now is be patient and wait for a sign. This doesn't take long. Something happened at the Potsdam residence.
My God. Is that what I think it is?
Yep, it's a spinal cord.
Is it Stephanie?
I can see a resemblance, but I can't be sure. Now, the only clue we got is that card on our pillow. Take a look at it.
This is practically a confession.
Confession to what, son?
Murder. Isn't that what you're here to investigate?
Son, you don't investigate natural deaths. No point.
Then I'll get to the bottom of this myself.
Yeah. I'm sure you will.
More pie, Sheriff?
Don't mind if I do.
That said, this note isn't enough to enter the lodge. We'll need to bring Stephanie's skull and spinal cord. Potsdam's buried them in the family crypt. And now combat enters the fold. Well, unless you attacked or provoked people before around town. Surprise, surprise, it's an awkward affair. Point-and-click games with combat? Never a good combination. That said, they give you a wide arsenal of weapons. Over 20 weapons, guns included. We'll find healing supplies and food throughout to replenish our health. It's pretty easy to find the timing and spacing to kill enemies without a fuss. Pick your weapon and swing over and over, or shoot them. That said, we're going to have to be worrying about more combat soon enough. For at long last, it's time to enter the lodge. There's been much build-up over the course of the game.
Whatever occurs in here is relevant to the great question, which you cannot help but answer. What is at issue is whether in answering the question you will find the answers you seek. You will encounter those intent on preventing or prompting your answer, depending on how you look at it. While the assumption is you want to live, dying is easy and provides its own answer, but not for you.
Will it live up to the hype? Well, sort of. It does take another left turn on several fronts, from the gameplay to what awaits us. And yet there's a rhythm to its madness. You could see more of that direct David Lynch influence with the Lodge here, from the imagery to the dialogue. There's elements of the Red Room and the Black Lodge from Twin Peaks here, like the doppelgangers. The doppelganger of Pete Swell greets us as the valet.
In that case, I'm afraid you'll have a hard time of it, sir. Recently, the lodge has become infested by pests. They need exterminating, or, to be blunt, sir, they need killing. And plenty.
We'll even come across a doppelganger of Steve in this saloon. A fight to the death. Although with spacing and positioning, it's no sweat. You'd think fighting Steve's doppelganger, his shadow, would be more of a climax, but it's an early encounter in the lodge. We're only getting started at this point. There's much to do within the lodge, so let's go through some of the highlights. We'll need to ascend to the highest level, both from a figurative and literal standpoint. But first we start in the belly of the whale. We'll drop into this gooey area with various creatures to fight off. Making our way out of it, we'll end up in something more lodge-like, such as this cozy room with a fireplace. There is a familiar song on the radio, or we could change it to something more contemporary. Oh, hell yeah. Moving forward, there's no penalty for killing others, no trips to the electric chair. In some cases, others will pick a fight with us, like the janitor.
You think just because I'm a janitor I got no pride? That's all I got to do all day is clean up after you rich bastards? Think eyes before you get hurt. All right, buddy. You ask for it.
The puzzles here are a bit more loosey-goosey. You could do what others ask of us, or you could simply kill them. Like playing against the chess master. You could be a gentleman and play chess, or you could fight him to the death, while someone else will fight on his behalf.
Chess is a civilized game. How sad that we must now resort to a less civilized form of conflict.
There's an art gallery here with many odd works delving into the abstract, including the conversations we could have. Harvester continues to dive into the bizarre.
That it will, I'm afraid. Art often forces engagement, doesn't it? Lovely works, pastoral scenes, noble sculptures. These are easy on the eye and mind. But when confronted with a work of hideous form, you're forced to deal with it, even if only to dismiss it as trash. Sadly, the most extreme works are the hardest to dismiss. Grotesqueries amid works of beauty are necessary. That should be taken for granted. Nevertheless, it's important that each individual determine his own sense of aesthetics. For that reason, I give you permission to obliterate that which forces you to linger too long in the gallery.
I'm just passing through.
If only it were that simple.
Level 3 is where the real trials begin. We need to pass through these temples to join the order. They go by the mysteries. There are 9 mysteries: abstinence, beauty, charity, flesh, mercy, morality, motherly love, pain, and religion. Abstinence is the first mystery.
The central mystery is thus: those who advocate abstinence are those who possess the most. It is to their advantage that you obey, not to yours. The meek shall inherit the earth when the strong are finished with it. Advance, initiate, and remember what you have learned.
In the game of pushing boundaries, some of these mysteries go the distance, like the mystery of motherly love or the mystery of morality. Ones that play things straight and don't pull any punches.
Shocked? This is the mystery of motherly love. Everyone says motherhood is fulfilling, when in reality, it's draining. Oh, yes. I'm such a pessimist. What you must think of me.
My country paid me to kill. And then when I came home, I was out of a job. They expected me to stop? Cold turkey? Is that what they wanted? A paycheck today, jail cell tomorrow? Am I a criminal or an entrepreneur? Hey, let's find out.
But that wicked dark humor of Harvester is still here, like dealing with Mr. Potsdam rocking that Boogie 2988 build.
Sometimes you have to sacrifice meat to gain meat. The Order taught me that. Now I am a butcher. You should have gotten your dad to hire me on. That way, you could have been the boss, instead of the prime cut.
Same case for the humor goes with the Temple of Beauty. We can enjoy some time with a Lady of the Night, but there are consequences for this decision. We'll catch something that drains our health.
Thanks for stopping by, Stud. You shouldn't have picked Crystal, though. She hasn't been feeling well. I'd be sure to get to a doctor if I were you. These diseases can have pretty horrible effects, you know.
The next room has a woman with quite the view of herself, especially if we give her a mirror.
Oh,
Oh no, look at me. Do you see that? I'm fat! 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 There. Am I not beautiful? Look at my complexion. Pale white and gleaming.
The doppelganger of Deputy Loomis awaits us in the Mystery of Charity, with an outlook that Kreia from Knights of the Old Republic 2 would approve of.
Any act of charity is an act of selfishness, for in any charitable exchange one must take from another, and one is always left the poorer. A feeling. Discouraging answer, Initiate. You see, though I am needy, I do not consider myself a beggar so much as a taker. I require charity, Initiate. Give me something. Charity is a loathsome lie. The only gift that keeps on giving is death.
And out of nowhere, Harvester throws a major difficulty spike. This is the end game, but boy is this a leap. Combat's been an awkward but straightforward affair. As long as they don't get the drop on you, you're fine. If not, reload and try again. But this final combat encounter has a couple of enemies for us to kill. By this point, I used my ammo elsewhere. When you attack enemies with melee, they're knocked back, which makes this gunslinger a pain to deal with. He'll take you down in no time. Followed up by a robot, which does have range but could still make short work of us. It got to the point where I tried to enter the game's cheat codes, but those didn't work. It's a now of nowhere encounter, to say the least. Now that we're past the trials, we enter the inner sanctum. The principal awaits us and will fill us in.
Within the inner sanctum, you will address me as Vice Muck Hero, second in command to the Grand Muckety Muck. He of the Fez and Buffalo Helm, the secret handshake, the funny passwords. Only fitting, given that my role has always been that of an educator, and Harvest is one big classroom.
What do you mean?
You'll have to kill me to find out what he means, big guy. And as revenge for showing photos of my lieutenant and Miss Whaley around Harvest, deriving cheap amusement from the sacrament of their coupling, I'm going to make it especially difficult for you.
At long last, we have the reveal. The Sergeant-at-Arms will tell us what's really going on in Harvester, in a long, long monologue. This scene runs about 7 minutes. Adding to the hilarity is the actor here. This is all telepathic. Wonder what was going through his mind as they were filming this.
Enough games.
Agreed. Each time you climbed the rope, you caused her pain, but you always hurt the ones you love. Is that all you require?
I want an explanation.
Of course you do. There are no such things as monsters. And yet, you've killed monsters. Everything in Harvest is just slightly askew. This is because, as advanced as our technology is, we cannot make the sim any better than this. The subject's subconscious always warps it in unpredictable ways.
Sam?
This is nothing more than a virtual reality designed by the Harvesters to test potential members. Having successfully completed the program, you have earned the right to become a Harvester.
What the hell is a harvester?
The hand that grips the knife that stabs, the the ones who move amid the crop and harvest the fruit.
You're talking about people. Killing people.
Again and again and again, I believe the technical term is serial killer. The harvesters seek to perpetuate terror and discord for our own purposes. We do this through the random utility of murder, and we persevere through our recruitment of initiates like yourself.
You want me to become a serial killer?
This entire reality has been engineered to break down your resistance, to desensitize you to violence. Now you may become a harvester and re-enter the real world, or stay in peace with young Stephanie and spend the rest of your life in the construct known as Harvest.
What is the real world at this point?
Right now, you are suspended in a sensory deprivation tank wired to a VR deck. If you don't join us, we will terminate your life support, and you will be dead within minutes. Those last minutes, however, will seem like a lifetime lived in Harvest. You will marry Stephanie and die peacefully of old age.
You're presuming a lot.
Aside from you, she is the only real person in Harvest, suspended in a tank, jacked in just as you are. I assume you'll want to spend time together.
If I stay.
Of course, having completed your ordeal, you may leave with her as you intended and enjoy your victory. If, on the other hand, you wish to join us, the cost of exiting the lodge is the same as the cost of entering the lodge. A skull and spinal cord. Hers.
No. You couldn't kill me. These harvesters, they put people through this torture to give them a taste for killing. The way to beat them is to deny them. To live out your life here. With me. You're thinking about killing me, aren't you? Didn't you hear what he said? I do exist. If you kill me here, I'll die for real. And I'll feel all the pain, all the terror, because I'm real.
Well, after all, what's a murder without pain and terror? We will feed the pain impulses directly into her brain and then pull the plug. You will be a murderer, this time for real. So what will it be? Life in Harvest, or life as a harvester? Choose now.
Now we have our decision. Marry Stephanie to live out the rest of our days in Harvester, or kill her and become a Harvester. Let's start with the live in the simulation ending.
You disappoint me. You had possibilities.
I'd rather die than become as twisted as you.
You've made your choice and succeeded in your quest. Enjoy the life you've chosen, such as it is.
Kid could have been something.
Never looked back. We got 2 more to plug in.
There's gotta be a better way to develop these serial killers.
This is scientific. You want we should go back to the old way?
What old way?
Good breeding.
Let's see what the other ending has in store for us. What happens if we kill Stefan?
Wow, that was neat.
Welcome to our order, brother.
Where are you going?
Nowhere. Nowhere at all.
What are you doing, son?
Playing Harvester.
That thing? I looked at it the other day. The very thought. Breeding serial killers. It's disgusting.
It's cool.
You'll rot your mind playing games like that. Don't you know people who watch violence become violent themselves?
That's bullshit, Mom.
No, it isn't. Why do you think they started cutting the violence out of those Roadrunner cartoons?
Roadrunner cartoons.
Roadrunner cartoon?
Huh. I was curious to see where Harvester would end off. First, I was a bit let down by this ending. As I've given a bit of time to pass, I've come around more to it, to an extent. Very much a case of telling, not showing. Granted, they were on a shoestring budget, plus it was hilarious watching the actor here with his facial expressions. Before reaching the ending, I had a few thoughts in mind of where it would go. One thought I had was going the way of The Truman Show, which the game predated by a couple of years. There's a line when talking to Steve's mom that made me think of it.
Hard to say since hardly anyone gets inside, but it wouldn't be so exclusive if it wasn't just wonderful. Just like the new Reynolds dishwasher with their patented auto-dry process, TM. I've never used one, but I know I want it. Instead of sulking around the house all day, why not walk over to the lodge and apply for membership?
Another thought was the game ending more like a Twilight Zone episode, which would be fitting with the 1950s Americana timeframe. I did also think we'd see something like a David Lynch ending. You could see his fingerprints all over the game, especially the lodge stretch. The game's lead designer and writer is a huge fan. Was Steve going to find himself trapped in the lodge? Would his doppelganger make it out? That thought disappeared after dealing with the doppelganger early on in the lodge. Instead, they went for a more fourth wall breaker kind of ending. This is all a virtual reality to train Steve as a serial killer. By no means is it a perfect simulation. His subconscious does shape elements of Harvester. This would explain why his mother shows up as others, or the jolting shifts in dialogue when others bring up something that we did, like a simulation loading up that data.
By the way, I spoke with Mr. Johnson and he's livid. Seems someone scratched up his priceless Tucker. If he finds out who, there'll be heck to pay. Edna's daughter Karen has disappeared. Karen was playing outside as Edna closed the diner, and that's the last anyone saw of her.
And with this simulation, the game explores the themes of violence in media. Do violent video games and media have a negative influence on children? This is a major talking point in the 1990s. There's an on-the-nose discussion we could have with Range Rider at the TV station about violence.
Yeah, civilization has benefited from violence. But should violence be treated as entertainment?
Check my rating, son. Violence is entertainment.
I just put it on the air. If some kid watches, that says something about the kid, not me. Now, excuse me, we're going back on the air.
Harvester is one of the better cases of humor done right in video games. Point-and-click titles are great for it, but Harvester stands above others I've played. It's Gen X or 90s humor through and through. A dark, twisted look at violence with a 1950s Americana backdrop. It's crude, it's vulgar, but it's tongue-in-cheek, the kind of satire you saw during this time frame. While different topics, The Simpsons share similar elements to its approach. With Steve looking like Ron Livingston, Office Space pops to mind. Different subjects, but a similar approach. South Park, which would start airing about a year later, is even more in line with Harvester. You can even go back to old Looney Tunes cartoons, which writer Gilbert Austin was a big fan of. It's a stark contrast to modern humor. Well, humor there in quotation marks. Harvester isn't everyone trying to outsnark one another, where every character seems cut from the same cloth. It's taking these well-defined characters and throwing them into absurd situations. There are some great quotable lines throughout Harvester.
You can't live without a spinal cord, son. Nothing unnatural about that. Think I will have some more pie.
But to me, it's less about those lines and more about these outlandish situations we come across or end up in. It's not afraid to go places where other games won't dare to. I wish more games would take cues from Harvester. Not in its material per se, but in how it approaches humor. We'll make that most modern humor across all mediums. We could use a bit of a reset and return to tried and true principles of comedy. When writing this video, an egregious example of modern comedy showed up in the strangest of places. It made its way into Metroid Prime 4. Call it what you will. Marvel humor, Reddit humor, Tumblr humor, Theater Kid humor, millennial writing, Borderlands humor. Of all the modern games to have it, Metroid Prime 4 was the last place I was expecting it to show up. But I digress. So while Harvester has gone on to build a devoted audience, they didn't make the splash they wanted to. They wanted to capitalize on the media's focus of violence in video games. They wanted to provoke and take advantage of that controversy, which they did to an extent, but they missed the zeitgeist of it when it released in the fall of 1996. Gilbert P. Austin was the brains behind Harvester. Before Harvester, Gilbert worked at Origin Systems on titles like Wing Commander 2. From a coworker there, he learned about the company Future Vision. They were looking for someone to create a game on a contract basis. Gilbert made the pitch to its owner, Lee Jacobson, who produced Harvester. To note, both of them appear in-game as character models. That's Gilbert as Daniel the Mortician and the man in the art gallery. That's Lee Jacobson as Mr. McKnight, the owner of the TV station. This is very much the Wild West days of the gaming industry. You needed bodies to fill roles. It was also common to use staff and friends. There were no shortage of willing investors to throw things at the wall and see what sticks. The idea of Harvester came to Gilbert in a flash. He had the idea written down within an hour. A small town in the 1950s using a lodge to create serial killers. He wanted to look at whether violence in media creates or is created by violence in society. Future Vision was a scrappy young upstart. They couldn't compete at a technical level, so they made a high concept push to compete with other games. Something provocative and to push buttons. It was the only idea he pitched and Future Vision accepted. Gilbert despises censorship. His viewpoint was it was up to parents to filter out what their children read, viewed, or played. It wasn't the government's responsibility, it wasn't the artist's responsibility. During this time frame, you had politicians crusading against violence in the media, video games being their main target. Late 1993 and early 1994 had Congress hearings about the impact violence in games had on children. Titles singled out included Doom, Mortal Kombat, and of course, Night Trap.
I don't believe what I just saw. Those bloodsuckers just got Lisa, and you had a chance to save her. I put the lives of those girls in your hands, and you screwed up. I'm pulling the plug on you before you do any more damage.
Harvester made a big splash at the January 1994 Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas. Here's a trailer they showed at the time.
I'm telling you, as weird as it sounds, I don't know you. Any of you. I don't know where I am or even who I am. Somebody tell me who I am!
Stop it, you're being silly. Honestly, all this fuss, you're giving your brother the heebie-jeebies. You're my son. You've lived in Harvest all your life, and in 2 weeks, you're getting married.
Something really weird is going on here. You've lost your memory, and I can't remember anything. Anything. Except you.
Harvest, things are not always what they seem. Secrets are kept behind closed doors. And if you're smart, you leave them there.
I feel like something is bearing down on me. Something terrible.
I know what you mean. I can't remember anything. But I know in my heart that the woman downstairs is not my mother. I'm scared.
Harvest is a quiet little town, and the people there want to keep it that way. People who break the silence there are broken.
Oh my God. Is that what I think it is?
Yep. It's a spinal cord, all right.
Is it Stephanie?
I don't know. The only clue we got is that card propped up on a pillow. Take a look at it. I don't see any need to investigate. Whoever this is dead from natural causes.
Natural causes?
You can't live without a spinal cord, son. Nothing unnatural about that.
More pie, Sheriff?
Oh, I don't mind if I do.
You don't know if Stephanie is alive or dead, but you do know two things. You've been invited to join the ranks of a secret order, and the answer to your questions can only be found in the lodge.
Come in.
Harvester. Coming this summer to a store near you.
As you could see and hear, it's very different than what we got. This trailer was a rush job. Their publisher bought them space at the event, so they needed something to show. They weren't sure about the gameplay at this stage. The script was a work in progress, or even if they would film it or animate it. As mentioned earlier, they based Stephanie off of Shelley from Twin Peaks here. They decided afterwards the tech wasn't quite there for an animated approach. To drum up controversy and interest, Gilbert was outspoken in interviews at the time. They were trying to steal thunder from the upcoming Phantasmagoria, point-and-click title also dealing in controversy at the time. And according to Gilbert, they did steal some of that thunder. But now came the difficult part of getting the game together. Although Gilbert's contract was only to design and write the script, he did more. He directed the video shoots and audio sessions. He decided on casting. After shooting that summer in a warehouse at their publisher, he was gone. He didn't have any more involvement in the game. He left it to Lee Jacobson as producer and the programmers to finish it up. Which is a bit weird to think about. He had such a distinct vision of what the game was. He didn't think much of it at the time. How long could it take? Well over a good 2 years. Harvester wouldn't release until September of 1996. Gilbert did find this frustrating. He put the blame on the programmers. What took them so long? Can't be that hard. When reading the interviews on this, it does come across a bit of an ideas guy versus developers. That said, Future Vision was punching well above their weight class. They were a small and scrappy company. Compare that to Sierra making Phantasmagoria. A well-oiled machine with cash to spare, and burned through much of it with Phantasmagoria. Future Vision did not have that luxury. That said, there were others that played a large role beyond producer Lee Jacobson. Those that helped shape Harvester into what it was. That includes Kevin Obergen. That's him as the telepathic sergeant of arms at the lodge. Despite credited as graphic design, his role was far larger than that. He's more or less the game's co-director and creative director after Gilbert left. He'd also leave before Harvester's launch, but stayed far longer on the project. He and Gilbert hit it off when they met. They had a similar outlook on humor. While Gilbert was the sole writer, Kevin did make many pitches to the story, many that made their way into the game's script. How did Harvester do when it hit shelves in the fall of 1996? A bit of a shrug. It would find an audience. It did better in Europe, but nowhere what they were hoping for. Future Vision would close shop about a year later. Leading up to release, they were expecting controversy. They were expecting protests. But nothing much came of that. They did have a religious group picket outside their office, but that was about it. They missed their window of opportunity. 2 years doesn't seem like much in the current gaming landscape, but the industry made some monumental leaps from 1994 to 1996. On the violence side of things, the media's focus on violence in video games fizzled out after 1994. They established the Entertainment Software Ratings Board later that year. That focus in the media faded into the background until Columbine and Rockstar's output in the early 2000s. When you look at what came out in 1996, it was a bit tough for Harvester to stand out. 1996 was very much a landmark year for gaming. Leaps and bounds made on the technological front. A major shift to 3D. Look what was coming out of Texas at the time. Future Vision was based out of Texas. What else was coming out there around this time? You had id releasing Quake, a monumental first-person shooter with cutting-edge technology and graphics. Elsewhere in Texas, you had 3D Realms pushing cutting-edge tech with their build engine. Duke Nukem 3D would take the gaming world by storm, not only for its quality and technology, but also for controversy, which no doubt helped in its sales. 1996 was also a landmark year for third-person 3D titles. Across the pond in England, you had the emergence of Lara Croft and Tomb Raider, a fantastic showing the possibilities of 3D platforming. Heading further east, you had the release of Super Mario 64, a title that helped write the blueprint for 3D platformers to follow. You had Capcom evolving on the Alone in the Dark approach with fixed cameras. 1996 saw the release of Resident Evil, a landmark series that's still going strong almost 30 years later. While point-and-click titles were still doing well, they were starting to drop off in sales numbers. At first, Harvester looked to beat Phantasmagoria to the punch to the market, but they missed out as the game's development took longer than planned. Phantasmagoria would release in August of 1995. Its sequel, A Puzzle Flesh, would release a couple months after Harvester. They didn't put a ton into Harvester's marketing budget. They hoped the material would be enough to draw attention. But they did spend money on radio ads in a bizarre choice. Bit of an odd approach for a video game, especially a provocative one on the visual front. I did try to look up these radio ads, but ended up with nothing. Despite its lower than expected sales, Harvester had something going for it: its memorability. It grew a devoted fanbase over the years. That's where most of the behind-the-scenes information comes from. Devoted fans keeping the game alive. They tracked down staff and actors on the project to hear their side of the story. It would see a re-release on GOG and Steam in 2014. It's a game I've been aware of for a long time. I've seen a couple of clips out of context, aware of it, but going in wasn't sure what to expect. I sure am glad to getting around to it. It's one of the better boundary pushers of games. It's some of the funniest humor I've come across in the game. There are oddball design decisions with its combat and puzzles, but the love and care, it's all there.
Well, you always were a kidder, Steve.
Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe if you haven't done so. Curious to hear about your thoughts and experiences with Harvester below. Special shout out to the Boulder Punchers who give extra support to the channel on Patreon, your YouTube memberships, or one-time donations. For those in the complete global saturation tier, American Boot, Flan Nagel. For those in the thank you for your patronage tier, Tom Terrible. For those in the now this is Boulder punching tier, Ethan, the Madman in Waco, James Warner, Cray, Nate2, the original Narcy's Diet Thick Dew TM Neo Edition. For those in the Jill Sandwich tier, Angel, Benji, Benny Winterdawn, BBF in Bloxburg, Dark Rod 99, Dragon Fang Studios, Extraordinary 2, James Kilgore, Leonard Aronson, Logan Lepin, Mad Morpheus Gaming, Michael Walters, Nico Pero, Sam Jones, Squid Vicious, Strababanya, Will Han, and Zin. For one-time donators on Ko-fi, thank you to Vinyl Morpheus. And now for the post-video Q&A, so those in the Jill Sandwich tier and above can ask questions for these. From Flan Nagel, Harvester has been covered and analyzed quite a bit. What made you want to tackle the subject, and how hard was it to develop a unique take on such an infamous game? Yeah, there have been a few notable videos on YouTube on Harvester over the last couple of years. It's a game that's been in the back of my mind for years now. As mentioned earlier, there were bits I'd seen out of context. I think it was like Steve's mom shooting him when he enters her bedroom. But it was such a blast to experience the rest of it, which I went in blind to. It seems right up my alley when it comes to its humor, which it exceeded on. For developing a unique take, I let the game do most of the talking here, and for good reason. The game is a treasure trove of hilarity. If my video helps bring awareness to the game, or help someone take a trip down memory lane, well, I've done my job here. So thanks for the question, Flan Nigel. From Extraordinary 2, if someone were to do a remake and full revamp of this game into a different setting, do you think it would be popular today? Also, do you believe these kind of games should come back? I could see it being more of a niche indie hit, something that could have a small but devoted audience. That said, I hope it'd be more of a homage, pull elements from its foundation. As far as these kind of games coming back, from a point-and-click perspective, they do have their audience in the indie space. For game pushing boundaries but being tongue-in-cheek about it, again, something in the indie space. But with how much the world's changed since then, I think it would be very much a case of not seeing the forest for the trees. On the humor side of things, 100%. It's a great game to look at how to write and present humor. As I brought up earlier, it's on point with its satire, using that 1950s backdrop to address the violence and media question in the 1990s. We need to get away from Marvel humor, Reddit humor, whatever you want to call it, especially after seeing it seep its way into Metroid Prime of all series. Here's to hoping that starts to fade away in the coming years. Doesn't need to tackle the same subjects, but sets a great foundation in how to tackle things. That said, our current world in so many ways seems to be one giant satire, so do we really need it? I still think we do. So thank you to everyone for the questions and watching. Again, if you're interested in supporting the channel further through Patreon or YouTube memberships, check the pinned comment or description. You could also do one-time donations through Super Thanks or Ko-fi. Thanks again. I will see you in the next video.
Hello, Steve. Where's Loomis?
You'll be coming around the mountain if you come. Oh, that's it.
Loomis, damn you.
Oh, the camera's on. The camera's been on the whole time, huh? I don't even know. Hello.